Awesome. It's happening. Jesse Dayton, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you on.
Kat, how are you?
I'm better now. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, I'm spending Saturday afternoon in rural Virginia.
Yes.
I'm in a backstage area in rural Virginia right now, and we played in Charlottesville last night. And as they say, the show must go on. So we're out here gallivanting around the universe.
Yeah. And when you're not playing, you're hanging out in a shower. I
Yeah,
do that too.
yeah. Well, it's the romantic lifestyle that everyone wants.
I know. I have it in my notes that you're in Virginia and then you're making your way to Tennessee after this, correct?
Yes. Yep. We're going to Tennessee, where my daddy always says to put your hat over your heart because the Alamo was full of people from Tennessee.
Aw.
So it's kind of an old Texas thing.
Yeah.
Uh, whatever. I don't know. Silly.
I want a picture of you standing in Tennessee with your hand over
With
your
my
heart.
hat over my heart.
Your hat over your heart. So I was looking at your schedule. This is a really and maybe this is no big deal for you, but it seems like a long tour. You're on the road to redemption.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
all the way till like well just before Christmas in December.
Yeah. I get to come home for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I just actually got some pretty exciting news, which I can't go into details about who I'm working with yet. But in November, well, a friend of mine who's in the movie business put me on this mass email list with all these people who I love, who are all filmmakers in Austin, and said he was looking for some Texas centric story script. And
Mm.
so I sent him this one that I had, and COVID hit and nothing happened. And so I never knew that he liked it. So he never reached out to me. So about 2 months ago, this production company they optioned my script to make it
Oh,
into a film.
congrats.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this, and they're going to start principal shooting in Terra in November.
Also, do you get to kind of visit set and have
Oh
creative?
yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
they're actually discussing whether I might be able to direct this or not. And I'd already directed a small film that went to Cannes and sold at the after hours. Like it was a little horror movie, like a little Roger.
Zombex. I know.
Yeah, it's a little Corman, silly. It's what you do. Roger Corman was a great producer, and he took all these great directors, all my favorite American directors, Scorsese, Coppola, and he let them make little monster movies, B movies, so they would learn how to, make a movie. So I've only got that one thing, but it did sell and it did pretty well. And so they're going to let me go out in November with a skeleton crew and shoot some stuff, and we'll see what happens. I don't know, for sure, but I do know the script is optioned, so that feels good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, congrats on that. That's a good feeling.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see. So you'll be able to take little breaks, is what you were saying. So you're not on the road continuously between now and December.
I
You
mean,
can.
I'm doing some fly dates, as we call them,
Mhm.
and I'm recording with Ian Moore and Johnny Muller in
Love you.
October. All three of us are doing a record together with three guitar players,
Wow.
which was actually my manager's idea, and who he's the one who put me and Samantha together.
Mm.
So this is another one of his big brain, uh, potential catastrophe, awesome things that anything could happen. And we're like, oh, okay, we don't know if this will work, but I love Ian Moore and I love Johnny Muller, and we all live in Austin, so why not?
Yeah, that's great. I was thinking about you, as I do with my guests. I kind of put you in the front of my mind all week, and I'm thinking, gosh, even if this guy didn't have anything going on, like a tour or whatever, I just feel I was like, this guy is an ocean. I could
Dang.
like spend a week talking to you and just feel like scratching the surface of just your body of work and your personality and what comes out of you in the form of art.
Dang.
So you're welcome. Let's cannonball into the ocean. And I just want to dive into the name of your tour, which we briefly mentioned is The Road to Redemption. So why redemption? Why, your latest album is called The Hardway Blues.
Yeah.
Fits in with the brand of needing redemption potentially.
Yeah.
Why those things for you right now in your life?
Because, I mean, the Hardway Blues is kind of a nod to the long the longevity of my career. I think a lot of people thought when I was younger that I was just going to right out of the gate become like this really hot thing. And of course, I'm kind of glad it's a two-way street on that, because I mean the first record I put out, it went to #1 on the Americana charts, and it had Doug Somm and all these guys that I highly revered playing on it. And it was a big deal, and people thought, well, that's cool. He made this little arty Texas record, and it did pretty good. Now let's get him on the radio, and which was virtually impossible for me. I won't say it's impossible, but it feels like it's impossible.
Yeah.
So that the Hardway Blues is just kind of a little, grand and nod to, but the cool thing is I remind myself that I'm never being defined. Like my audience doesn't go to the bathroom and get a beer while I'm playing new songs.
Yeah. That's awesome.
They're not just sitting around waiting for that song that defined my entire thing from 1997.
Mm,
So that,
yeah.
you have to find, it's really all of this stuff. And the road to redemption's the same thing. It's like road to redemption is about me reclaiming my solo career, kind of, and because I had spent 17 months on a bullet train with Samantha Fish,
Yeah.
and it was insane, and it was insane for both of us. And we had, by 2024 standards, a hit record
Mm-hmm.
that we put out. It got nominated for a Grammy, and and I love Samantha to death. I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't do for her, but we are so glad to be off both doing our solo thing.
17 months is a long time.
It's a long time. We literally had a tour every month, no matter how long or how short, for 17 months in a row. And we went to Europe 5 times, went to Australia twice.
Wow.
We toured the United States, I think, everywhere 3 times. So we did, 200 and something shows. And it doesn't matter if you're on a $2 million bus or in a rental car. After a while, you just need to go home.
Yeah. I just did a 5 days at a music festival doing press. And I was like, I got home and I was like, I felt like I got hit by a train. I mean,
Yeah.
just the disconnectedness from the rest of my life. How do you take care of yourself in the midst of something like what you're in right now? Like how do you, because then you have to get up on stage and you have to be on and you are the present that everyone paid to see.
Yeah.
How do you take care of Jesse?
Well, I used to not take care of Jesse.
Mm,
And I went through, when I was young and dumb and all those cliches, um, because, you feel like you're bulletproof when you're
yeah.
young. And plus you realize when you get older, you realize, wow, most of my heroes are either dead or they got their shit together.
Mm,
And don't get me wrong, I mean, the band will go out to some local honky tonk in Charlottesville after doing 5 or 6 shows in a row, and
Mhm.
we'll blow it out a little bit. You know what I mean? We're not teetotalers or anything,
Yeah.
but my deal is I drink a gallon of water a day. I buy a gallon of water. Like my one job in this world every day, no matter where I'm at, if I'm in France or freaking Kazakhstan, uh,
Mhm.
I'm going to go find a bottle. I'm going to go find a gallon of spring water and I'm going to try to drink that whole thing
Mhm.
at the end of the day because it helps my voice, it helps my joints, it helps me, release toxins. And I eat super clean. I mean, do I do some dog trashy food every once in a while? Yeah, but
Mhm.
most of the time, I'm doing meat and greens. I'm doing protein and greens.
Yeah.
Some I'm vegan. Some days I'll eat nothing but vegan food. I listen to myself a lot more than
Mm.
I do in terms of what my body's telling me. In fact, this next book thing I'm doing is kind of it's not my idea. It was this editor's idea. And he was talking about, a Beaumonster's lifestyle for living, a Beaumont's guide to living, a Beaumont
Oh.
guide to living. And because, a lot of guys that are my age, they use their age as an excuse
Mhm.
to just kind of let themselves go. And I think not just men, but women do it as well. And when I'm home, I'm a trail runner. Like I go out and burn up some trails, man. And I'll bring the Labrador out and I'll go to Barton Creek and go do 3.5 miles or do 4 miles.
Mhm.
If I can get 4 of those in a week,
Oh, that's good.
then I'm pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. If I have a little few drinks at the bar or I eat that shitty hamburger or whatever, I don't have to feel weird about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I do when I'm out here, and I have to because if I don't, that means that I have to quit music.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I
Yeah.
just continued partying and not taking care of myself, and that would
Mhm.
ultimately mean, I mean, I saw the Stones on the last tour, and I mean, Joe Biden and Mick Jagger are the same age,
It's crazy.
and Mick Jagger is staggeringly
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan, so that's like my favorite band in the world. So, and I've seen them so many times. But you know, I don't know. I think as the older I get, the less that I participate. I'm okay. It's a great thing about getting older is you don't have that FOMO.
Mhm.
Oh, you give. Can I cuss?
Yes.
You give a shit less what people actually think.
Yes.
Very liberating. It's that whole thing that Bob Marley's talking about, where you emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Mhm.
And it's a heavy concept, but when you're traveling around on tour all the time, you have the luxury of thinking of these things. I know
Yeah.
some people don't have that luxury and they're working their brains out in an oil field or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
very sad that.
Yeah. When you are out on the road, which you are quite a bit, how much mental space do you have for creativity outside of what you're already going to do that night or that week? I mean, are
Not
you
much.
constantly writing? No?
Not much. I mean, I do come up with riffs and I come up with things that I hear and the things that I come up with, I write them down. And so that when I get home, I collect them all,
Okay.
collector of ideas. And then I get home and I try to put something together. Uh,
Hmm.
Once in a while, I will write on tour. But the touring is like athlete type thing where you're just like, you're very consumed with like, how am I going to be tonight? Is my voice okay? I mean, I'm not walking around bitching about my voice all day, but I'm not that guy. Those guys wear me out. But, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, how does a lead singer warm up before he goes out on stage. Me, 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 me.
But you don't warm up.
I don't really. I do a little bit. Yeah, I make sure
Yeah.
my falsetto is intact, and I'll get in the
Yeah.
back or back like
I
this,
mean,
and
you're already there, buddy.
I'll go, okay, it works. It's okay. You know.
Are you just don't speak for that whole day of the show and you carry around a legal pad and a
And
Sharpie? The day
never,
you do that, I will find you and smack you.
I never had to do that. And a lot of it has to do with what you invent in the studio. Because I mean, you can kind of see why Steven Tyler
Yeah.
bailed. Because my God, I mean, if you had to sing "Dream On" every night, I mean, that's
Yeah.
like acrobatics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about because I was listening to a ton of your stuff, and I went all the way back to that sweet little face on the front of Raisin Cane. Oh, how old are you? That was 1994, 1995. How old are you on for Raisin Cane?
24, I think.
Baby Jesse. What
Yeah,
when I mention that album, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
dumb luck,
What?
it, dumb luck, idiot. Like it's almost like the guy that sits down at the poker table and gets super lucky and goes, "I don't know what you guys were complaining about." Like I had no idea. So when I look at that, I look at that guy on there, like he has no idea what he's in for.
Yeah. Fascinating though. Here's the cool thing about people like you that have, I mean, we all have some sort of way of looking back and evidence of our life in the timeline. But when you make albums, as you have 15 albums or something like crazy like that from 1994, 1995 till now. What a time capsule, what a timeline. Do you ever reflect back on that because you have all that material? Are you a retrospective
Mm-mm.
person? No.
No, only that way when people want to hear the music or they want to hear
Mm.
a song or that way. I literally never think about. I'm not a rear view mirror guy.
Yeah.
I'm a front windshield guy. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm
Yeah.
all right now. You
Yeah.
know, um, I heard this great thing. This buddy of mine that I ride motorcycles with is he's like a Buddhist almost type thinker in the way he's very zen, and he talks about the great thing about Mike riding motorcycles is if you think about anything else but what you're doing, you will actually die.
Mm.
And so you can't, they say that a lot of your anger is tied up in the past and a lot of your anxiety is tied up in the future.
Right.
You're wanting things to go a certain way, or you're mad that they didn't go that way, or whatever it is. And once you let go of that stuff and just be here now,
Yeah.
um, it's much easier. And you're a lot happier, and you can kind of see what's going on in the country right now. There's this overall. There's one side that has a lot of anxiety, and there's another side that they're very angry,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see that, in our I call the media like angertainment. You
Ah,
know,
yeah, it's good.
that's where they go. So I choose to not live in either one of those places. I try, I have we all have our shit that we have to deal with. And
Yeah.
trust me, I've got the shitty committee in my head, like you would believe. But, I've learned that my brain is for entertainment purposes only.
Put that on a t-shirt, Jesse. Let's talk a little bit about one of the words that really came up for me as I was listening to a ton of your stuff from all over the place through the last 15 albums is just storyteller. You are or seem to be a very natural storyteller. Does that come naturally for you, easy for you? Have you kind of always had that way about you, even outside of music? Is that?
Yeah, I think, I think it's a family thing. I think
Mhm.
it's, I don't know if it's East Texas or Irish or whatever it is, there's these things that have been kind of handed down, where I could tell my father could tell a really great story. My grandfather
Mhm.
really good at it, and they were captivating.
Yeah, it's an art.
Yeah, you could see people like pulling their chairs closer.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what art really is. And even when you're playing lyrically, like our guitar, when you're playing guitar, you still have to tell a story. It needs a beginning and a middle and an end.
Hmm.
Or, you know, and music that doesn't have that. I mean, trust me, I love cars about chicks, and I love songs about chicks and cars too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I like some good old brain dead, you know, let's just get it on, music. And I like those stories, and I'll watch those movies, and I think that, I'll see that art and all that stuff. But for me, I really like, when I was a kid, I saw Townes Van Zandt live,
Mm.
and it just changed my whole world. I didn't know when I was 14, when my brother said, I want to take you to see this songwriter. I didn't know what that meant, because I knew what goth and heavy metal and punk and blues and new wave and
Mhm.
all that amazing music that I had, that was coming up when I was a kid. It was at the America was at its pinnacle.
Yeah.
And but when he came home, he said, "We're going to see a songwriter." I was like, "What kind of music is it?" He's like, "Well, he writes songs." And I was like, "Well, that's the most goddamn ambiguous thing I've
What
well,
kind of songs?
I'm outraged. I'm a 14-year-old outraged kid. How dare you?" Uh, but I went, and if Towns wasn't drinking and it wasn't a train wreck, it was like seeing Hank Williams Jr. and Bob Dylan all rolled into one.
Wow.
And then the stories, there were all these stories. And so yeah.
Were you able at 14 in those moments to, as a 14-year-old, to connect with the stories he was telling? Did they apply to you, or what was it that struck the chord? Because maybe
Well,
not always stories.
I'm still peeling away the layers,
Oh,
even now.
the best kind of story then.
Yeah. But at the time I would know, oh, this is a sad song, or
Mm,
it's a funny song, or oh, this is not good. This is something's not good's gonna happen to this character.
mm,
And or wow, this guy could not love her any more than he does in this song. You know what I mean? I knew that.
mm.
Those things, but then you get older and you realize that
The
you're,
nuance.
yeah, you're like, oh my God, that's a double entendre that just did not connect back in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. The 80s were a good time. I was coming up, I was, my I was born in 76, so the 80s for me are like, they're just my heart, that
Sure.
whole decade was so good and so ripe with so much good popular music, and then also having the 70s, which are 60s and 70s are my favorite, decades of music. Having that be so kind of quick behind to reach for and influencing, future is a good time to grow up, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I've got 10 years on you. So
Oh, okay. Well, it's close enough.
yeah. And I don't hide my age, and I don't care
Yeah,
if,
me too.
I
It's
don't
an honor to be
care.
alive.
Oh, I can't believe he's that old. It's like, yeah, I actually am. And good luck getting here.
Yeah.
I'm wishing you luck. If you're lucky, maybe you'll make it to this age.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Hmm.
First rule of Buddhism: life is hard. And um, but for me it was the 70s, because when I was a little kid, I've got pictures of me on vacation with my family where, I've got a lightning bolt surf shop, the lightning bolt surfboard thing on, and my hair's kind of like that. I've got my corduroys and my desert boots. And,
Nice.
and I was listening to ZZ Top and Thin Lizzy, and then we had a million other records that my parents and my grandparents and my older brother and sister had. And it was just, for me, the films were all great. I mean, you got Scorsese, I mean, my parents were like, we're going to watch Deliverance tonight. I don't know if you should watch this or not. Or I'm going to,
Same.
I'm going to take you to see Jaws this weekend, or Star Wars. And
Yes.
yeah, you know what? You know why we're talking about it? Because it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it builds character.
It was absolutely unbelievable compared to what's being churned out now.
I completely agree. Yeah, there's this thing about that time, and I think growing up with that whole veil over it, where we were exposed to things that we probably shouldn't have been, but I don't believe in that. Yeah, I think it's neat to talk about it with someone who kind of went through that, because it's sort of,
Yeah,
you don't even
absolutely.
have to say
I,
anything.
I think cool stuff stopped happening in the 2000s. I think that's why younger kids, I could roll my eyes when I was younger, when my parents would talk about going to see an Elvis or whoever they saw, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't have this kind of anarchy about me. Like,
Hmm.
like I noticed that now. I notice this thin-veiled cynicism
Mm.
that it kind of bothers me and it worries me, and I'm very concerned because I love being around young people and I don't feel my age at all. I have a son, who's 25, and so I'm very I try to keep them in check on that. You know what I mean?
Yes. I have a 17-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. And yeah, I think yeah, you gotta stay real close to
Yeah.
them. Well, no matter what, just from a parenting perspective, but also just to, yeah, to really have your ear to the ground of, what they're into, and what's
Stay
going
in
on and
their
stuff.
life, man, and
Yeah.
it will make them in turn be intellectually curious.
Yeah. And a whole lot cooler.
Like, for sure.
It's so funny because my daughter will come to stuff with me, especially Henry's off working and being 17, but
Yeah.
Harper hangs out with me and comes to show stuff. And like people will come up to her and be like, your mom is so cool. Like, your mom is so cool. She's like, I
Nope.
know, I know.
Oh yeah.
She's
That's
probably
right.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Stop telling
Yeah. My son Sam he never agreed. He's
me.
like,
She
he's like,
stopped fighting it.
what do you mean? Like, what's the big deal?
I know. Do you ever go? I'm sure you've been through this, but like I used to work in the television industry and film and all that stuff, and I've done some cool stuff, And so
Yeah.
like, your kids get to that age where you're like, maybe I'll show them stuff or show them a movie I did or a commercial I did or whatever, and
Yeah.
thinking that they would care, and like a little, they don't care at all, like
No,
not at all.
they don't. They don't. I think he's starting to find out though, because
Yeah.
he went into the other side of the business and he works for a company in Austin called Elios,
Hmm.
and they're a big production company. So he's a lighting director. He
Oh,
just
cool.
did lights he just got done doing lights for Green Day. And
Awesome.
but he's starting to realize, like, oh wow, that's cool. My dad played with Johnny Cash, or you know,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But forever and ever it was never even considered remotely cool.
I know. I know. Someday we'll get there, Jesse.
Yeah.
Goals.
Yeah. It's sad when the only one you want to impress is your kid. You
I
know?
know. Please like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else? What else do you want to talk about? Have you for
I mean, You know, the book, or we can talk about that.
Oh yeah, Beaumonster. Talk about that because that I think when I first heard about you, first of all, you have a wonderful reputation. I always want to say that when it's true. And a
We
couple
talk
of
to the
people
right people. I'll
I
pay them $50
well,
later.
yeah, it's 50 each. No, but seriously, I mentioned to a few people that I was going to talk to you, and they like on and on, and I was like, all right, already, just stop. But no, no, they just talked about how wonderful you are and talented and all that good stuff. So, and one of the things that I got told first about you is that you wrote this book called Beaumonster. So tell us a little bit about that book.
The book happened in a really weird way. So during COVID, I started writing these rants and stories
Oh yeah, that's right.
on Facebook and just going crazy and like just writing like there was no freaking end. And I was surprised because of the time and space and the era that we were going through, the situation was creating these people who are now devoid of their long we're all back on the ball now. COVID's gone, but during that point in COVID, we all could watch a Cassavetes film or read a long book. It's like our narrative, our attention spans got longer. So people really started responding to these stories. And I would tell, backstage stories about, like I think the first long one. Well, I'll tell you. So I wrote these stories, and a friend of mine who is a literary agent in Hollywood was having a dinner with the editor of Hachette Book Publishing in New York. And Hachette is a big publishing company. It's like Simon and Schuster or whatever. It's been around forever. And this guy had done all these amazing books. He'd done Christopher Hitchens' books, so he'd done some kind of heady stuff. But he also did The Replacements, and he did Steve Jones's for Sex Pistols book, which that new series on Fox or whatever channels and whatever whoever put it out. That's all based on that book. But so they're having dinner, and he just randomly brings up because there's this guy. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I've been reading his stories. I think he's got a book in. And she goes, "Who?" And he goes, "Jesse Dayton." She goes, "I know Jesse Dayton."
Wow.
And he goes, "Well," she goes, "Why don't we call him right now?" So I'm literally on the couch watching the Astros like I do. And he said, "Hey, man, just send me 3 stories and don't worry about, editing or grammar or any of that stuff. I'll fix it all up and I'll take it back to New York to the suits and I'll run it up the flagpole."
Mhm.
So I wrote him a story about Waylon Jennings that was really funny about Waylon coming into the studio one day and saying, "Hey, y'all, they want me to play the Lola Falana show." And I was like, "Lola Falana? You mean I'm like smoking hot a chick from the 70s or 60s? Or I didn't really." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what it is." He walks out kind of defeated. And like 5 seconds later, his manager walks in and goes, "Oh my God, you hear the big news? We're playing Lollapalooza." and and so he called it the Lola Falana show the whole time, right? And and so I wrote a little story around that, and then I wrote a story about making horror movies with Rob Zombie in this super redneck town outside of Atlanta in Georgia, out in the middle of rural Georgia, and people were just literally tailgating. Like they would get off work and they would tailgate. They would sit there and drink beer and watch the movie set, watch the freaks work.
Yeah.
And then the other story I wrote was about playing Bill Clinton's inaugural ball with Lucinda Williams and her telling the Secret Service, uh, "My feet hurt. Can y'all get me a Jack and Coke?" Which I thought was like, I was like, that's why she's Lucinda Williams. Like But he loved it, and he called me like the next day, and he said it's one of the first things that everyone at the meeting all agreed on. So I wrote this book during COVID, and now I've officially sold more books than I have records.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, so it was, and it was a good thing for me, because all us musicians got, well, everybody did. We all got the rug pulled out from under us.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why I say you're an ocean, because the three stories you just told, I mean, could not be further apart and more like, it's like you span such a, a distance, with the things you've experienced. Very
I
cool.
left the bad stuff out, and I haven't had much.
Hmm.
Only had a couple of things where I was just like, I can't work with this person. They're just completely out of their minds.
Yeah.
But I left all that out, and the only one who's really the dum dum in the book is me. Because it's about kind of me not being able to handle what's going on, but keeping it a secret and pretending that I can fake it my way through these situations.
Hmm.
And until I found out that I was worthy of doing that, I was supposed to be there. They chose me to be there. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
not. It was never my decision.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of that. There's a lot of it, and there's also a lot of stuff in the book about what's going on in the world while these things are happening to me.
Hmm.
Um, politically or just economically with the country or the way people are responding to whatever. And, it's things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, we're all, whether we like it or not, we are all totally connected.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. I always have a much better day when I'm in the pocket of that thought, when I mean, I start each day in meditation. That's become a bona fide habit at this point, which I'm very grateful for because it took some time to really solidify that. But it helps me access. Hmm?
That's amazing.
It
Good.
was difficult, to cement in, but I now look so forward to it, and um I don't have any noise about what it should look like or how long it should last or, any of that stuff. Really let go of that. But it really helps me access that throughout the day, especially when I'm driving. And I tend
Yeah,
to get, I
stuff like
tend to
that.
get critical of people.
But I love that you said access because, you know, for a long time, I didn't have access to myself or things that I needed in order to participate, in order to be functioning. And I know we're getting a little heady here, and I don't mean to be, but and I keep my eye on that because I mean, my real heart is working class people because I see them at my shows,
Mhm.
and I know that they had to put that money away in order to get the gas to get to my show to drive these couple last night. They drove 4 hours to come see me play.
Mm.
You get a babysitter.
Yeah.
And like, you guys aren't driving back tonight. And they're like, no, we saved up a little extra money and we got a hotel and this is a night for us. And you could just tell that, this was an event,
Hmm.
people. And so, I always kind of check myself when I start getting a little too esoteric and zen and self, you know, not obsessed, but just, but on the other hand, there's a fine line that you walk where
Hmm.
you have to have access to yourself and you need to be able to access certain feelings and to be able to respond the right way
Hmm.
and not be reactive and not be,
Yeah.
whatever, get ahead of yourself or, and I'm impressed with anyone who does daily meditation, because I wish I could do it, and I should try to do it. I've done it before and felt great.
Yeah.
I went to one of those places. Have you ever been to that one in Austin? Don't get me my Beaumont accent saying Buddhist words. At the risk of sound. I forgot what the name of it was, but it was one of those Buddhist places. It was, I think it's 4th Street or whatever. It's in South. It's like in a little neighborhood, and you go in there, and you take your shoes off, and you go in there, and you sit cross-legged on a pillow.
Yeah.
And they go out and they do the whole thing. And every single time that I've done that, which I've done it like probably 5 or 6 times, I walk out with like spaghetti legs. It's like I just had sex, or I just like finished swimming from 10 miles. Like I feel so.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. You could start your day like that.
I know. It's probably a discipline. I know several people who do that regularly.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have to come to it when you're ready, and when you're ready. There's no shoulds. I don't believe in shoulds and shoulding all over people. Like, you shouldn't do anything. You should, it's just about when you're ready to do that. But yeah, I do find that it puts me in my body, it puts me in my mind, and I can access my kinder self a lot quicker when I do.
yeah, yeah. Well,
That,
I
yeah.
got when I met you we met at the Sun Radio.
Mhm.
Had this great jumpsuit on.
We were like the only two in black from head to toe kinship.
This jumpsuit's awesome. I want one right now. I'm serious. It was like, I don't know if it just looked kind of like real 80s, like you were in Devo or something. and and I got that vibe from you when I met you. I was like, oh, she's so warm, and it's good vibe. So
Yeah, well, right back at you. I've again, your reputation preceded you, and you've been on my radar, and then all of a sudden you walked in, and it was like, okay, so now it's time. I'm a big believer in divine timing. I have these like lists of people that I want to come on, but I don't really ever push.
yeah, I don't
Um,
need that. That's not my
yeah,
style.
yeah. So I loved that you walked in, and I was like, hey. You were like, hey, nice boy. You were like, hey.
Hey, what's up, Miss Jumpsuit?
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, we both know Darren, and I've known Darren since I was a kid, and
what a sweetheart.
him and his sister, and they're just so talented and such good people.
Yeah. Yeah. So wonderful. There's so many wonderful people in this town. And I'm so glad to add you to my list of people that I now know and can call friend. Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
It was great, Kat. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. When can we see you? Is there a date that we can see you play in Austin?
Um, I just played a show at the Paramount with me and Samantha Fish,
Did.
and we both did solo sets, and then we came out at the end and did stuff together. So I don't know. We're talking about possibly doing Antones at the end of the year, but I don't know. I don't, I'm starting to treat Austin, because I used to play there all the time. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and, I was one of those guys. I had weekly gigs there and all that. So I kind of treat every place like a tour stop, and
Mm.
it feels nice, to be able to come home and not,
Not play.
yeah, not play. And so especially after, touring so much.
Yeah.
So I get to go see my friends play though a lot, and I do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, good. I love that for you. All right. Well, you get some rest, have
Yeah,
safe travels, enjoy the rest of your day. And are you playing tonight?
I'm off tonight. I
That's
cannot believe it, on a Saturday night. We can't believe it. But he was like, look, man, you can do 6 shows in a row. I said, I'm not doing 6 shows in a row, brother. He goes,
No.
get about that Tuesday. We could, I was like, he goes, it's a Saturday night. And I was like, you know, I'm setting boundaries.
Yes, you are, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. All
I am
right.
watch Netflix and it's going to be awesome.
Yes, just a self-care night.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you stay put, don't hang up, but we're going to say goodbye to everyone watching. Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that's watching. We'll see you next time.
Next time.